TikTok compilation that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
Balenciaga has to be a social experiment. Every time they drop a new clothing line, the outfits, bags, and shoes are extremely unflattering, and it feels like the fashion designer is playing a prank on their customers. One of their purses looks exactly like a trash bag and retails for almost $3,000, but that's not even the worst one. They also have a shirt that's stapled onto another shirt that goes for $1,300, but the models don't even look good wearing it. They also have these slippers that look like they're from Amazon or Shein, but they cost over 600 euros, which is about $700. Not to mention they have a bracelet that's made out of tape for over $1,000 and a Balenciaga comb that's over $500. Even their shoes look like Skechers or New Balances, but somehow are thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, other designer shoes that look much more elegant like Prada's or Louis Vuitton's are half the price. But in my opinion, one of their worst products has to be their salt and vinegar chips bag, which is almost $2,000. But if you were carrying this around in public, it looks like you went to the gas station to get a quick snack. It also comes in spicy chili and cheese onion, but honestly those don't look any better. They even released a pair of trainers which intentionally look destroyed that are around $2,000, but it doesn't even look like you can wear them.
I agree. I'm convinced Balenciaga is some sort of big social experiment, to see how far people go to waste their money.
Why is this gentleman wearing a suit carrying a bag of chips? Very strange, right? Now what's more strange is that the cost of this bag of chips is a whopping $1,850. Yes, you heard it right. These are not your ordinary chips bag that come with potato chips inside them. These are actually designer bags from the luxury brand Balenciaga. This is literally a chips bag, with the usual shiny coating inside it, and the general information behind. They are even available in different flavors. These items often seem ridiculous to us, but are seen as a status symbol in the fashion world. What do you think?
At least no one is going to mock you for a bag of chips. I say, Cat, if you really pay attention, the one in the middle is wearing boots. You see when it's lifted out of water. Wow. Maybach Vision 6, everyone. How can something look vintage and modern at the same time?
Crazy the Lord of the Rings actors look like today. There you go. What's crazy about that? They just age. And Liv Tyler definitely don't look like, the one in the beginning.
Really know what happened to Le'Veon Parker. So his dad owns an AC company and is a wholesaler, and he was on the cruise with his family, and it was like a company trip. Now around 3:30 a.m., Le'Veon and his brother Seth were hanging out in the hot tub area with some people. Those people included a man named Brian Sims, and he's like accounting a lot of this story. So around 3:30 a.m., the two boys got up and they left the hot tub area. And then around 3:45, everyone started leaving the hot tub area and going to bed. Brian got up, he put his towel on, he started going back to his room. That's when he ran into Le'Veon and his father. They were walking down the hall and talking. And they were walking in like the opposite direction of Brian, and Brian said that his father had his arm around Le'Veon. Then all of a sudden, Le'Veon pushes his dad away, he stops him and he says, "I'll fix this," and he jumps out the window of the cruise ship. And Brian said everyone was screaming, "Stop the ship, stop the ship." It took the cruise about a mile to stop because, you know, it's a giant boat. But they stopped and they tried to disperse all these boats that would go look for him and try to rescue him, but they were unsuccessful. They never found him. If you want more information on it, check this out right here.
People don't realize that you will get sucked underneath the boat, and the propellers, which are enormous, will dismember whatever comes in its path.
Finally understand why, when people dive to collect sea urchins, there are fish that guide them. It's because of the damselfish, the underwater farmer, who is dedicated to cultivating its seaweed garden. Every day, it diligently tends to its garden, carrying away any snails that come to steal its crops. To protect its beloved garden, it will chase away any fish trying to steal, no matter how big they are. However, the fish despise sea urchins the most. Sea urchins not only steal, but also gnaw at the roots of the seaweed, and their spines can wreak havoc on the garden. The damselfish continuously removes them, but the sea urchins sneak back in during the night, turning the garden into an all-you-can-eat buffet. When the damselfish wakes up, its garden is often filled with sea urchins again. Sometimes, the damselfish will even carry the sea urchins to other damselfish's gardens, but this doesn't solve the problem of these garden pests. So, when they see humans diving to collect sea urchins, they appear and guide them. Follow me. I know where you can find a lot of sea urchins.
I now will never feel bad for eating sea urchin. I love it.
Yo, y'all know what time it is. That's your boy Hood Fishing. I got a pack of chicken, I got a net, and I got some string. We about to catch some blue crab today. Y'all know what time it is.
Well, you gotta slam the chicken, bro.
Alright, y'all, check this out. Get your chicken, you get your line, and you tie crazy, whole bunch of knots around it until it's secure. And then I'm gonna take y'all to the next step after we do that. Check it out. Just like that right there. See that? Secure. Got us a nice piece of chicken on there. We're gonna let some string out. And we're gonna give it a toss. And it should take 10, 20, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour. You never know how the fishing is today. It shouldn't take long. You know what I'm saying? Throw it out there, be patient, and your surprise to come. Let's do it. I'm afraid.
God, gee.
Just like that, baby. We got us a blue crab, baby. Come on, next.
Not bad.
Today, though. Not today. Hey, it's your boy Hood Fishing Entertainment. Y'all know how we get down, man. See how they blue? We gonna turn these things red and spicy crab boy. Y'all know what time it is, man. It's your boy Hood Fishing.
Yeah, you go. I think if the chicken was rotten, crabs would come in swarms.
Check this out. This has been going all the time. I had it up to 375 for a full hour to start. Check this out. Smoked apple pie.
Smoked apple pie.
I have not seen anybody do a smoked apple pie.
The man picked it up with his bare hand.
That's a cast iron skillet. He's a magician. He's a wizard.
Yes.
He's not human.
I'll be honest. I was so preoccupied with the notion of smoked apple pie, that I didn't notice until he said something.
52 years old. My skin is makeup free, right? Eyelashes, eyebrows is all you're going to see here. And I have come a long way from this just 5 years ago. And a lot of that is due to the collagen that I put in my body, which I take every day, and also the castor oil and the taping. If you have anything like dark spots, uneven skin, if you have any type of lines, the only place you cannot put it is under your eyes. Can you put castor oil on it? Yes. And I mix it with a couple of drops of frankincense, because the frankincense is an astringent. It will brighten the skin and it will take out all the inflammation. This is certified organic, hexane free, brown tinted glass, plus it needs to be cold pressed. Cold press is going to have no impurities. You do not want impurities in something that penetrates as deep as castor oil. Cannot be jacked with. I took a little bit here on my finger and I'm going to show you right here. Here's the tape that I use. You can see that it does stick. When I come back in the morning, this is going to be super firm. It's almost like a Biore strip. Remove it off of your skin and do it slowly and you will see all of those dead skin cells. But that castor oil is going to have time to penetrate overnight to start healing your skin. It's incredible. If you want more advice on this, or if you'd like to learn how to find the oil and the tape, just drop the word oil below and I'll get that information to you. If you click on my link, find this tape and you'll also find the castor oil. It's under anti-aging oils. Don't miss it because it's an incredible deal and it's going to last you for a long time.
I love castor oil. I use it for everything, even on my cats.
Drivers in the UK are about to get some insane new laws come into place. If you're going to be taking your test soon or you've just passed your test, I feel terrible for you. Now, if you drive, I'm sure you remember the day you passed your test, and the one thing you probably wanted to do was take your parents out, take your friends out, and go out in your car, right? Well, that might not be happening for much longer. So they've been making quite a few changes to the whole motor driving system recently. They're trying to increase the speed limit to 100 miles an hour on motorways. So this one is just, So the law that's being passed basically will mean that when you pass your driving test, you will not be allowed to take any passengers out. Apparently too many motor accidents are caused by new drivers who are with their friends being silly in the car. And because of this, they want to restrict it so that when you pass your test, you will have to wait between 6 and 12 months until you can take any passengers. Now, it's currently up in conversation about whether this should be just up to the age of 21, or if it will just be general, like you can't take anyone until that 6 months or 12 months pass. Make sure you share this with a new driver. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see, but hit that follow button, I will keep you updated.
Realistically, how will they know?
So sad. I go and I meet his daughter. It looks just like him. I don't know how much money this is, but I want you to... It's a lot. It's a lot of money. I picture all the birthdays and Easters and all that shit you missed.
Tell him thank you.
You're welcome. I want to put you on payroll for a year. I'm gonna give you $12,000 a month for a year, just to help so you don't have to worry. Because what made me sad was she didn't have hot water for like 6 weeks or whatever. It's like, how can you money doing this, doing that, and then your daughter don't have hot water? So I want to give you $20,000 to the mom, and then I want to wire you an additional $20,000 for her schooling. So I want to give you a Birkin bag because you're that's your favorite, and, a Rolex, so you can have that. Here's a beautiful watch.
Look at your new watch.
Look at that. You look so. Oh my! And I want you to pick out any jewelry you want, honey. Yeah, and you want a ring. Oh my God! Look at that. Here. You like this?
Why are you crying? I love you. Thank you. Give him a hug. He needs a big hug.
I love you. You're the best. You're the best.
The way this child being exploited is extremely sad and alarming.
The dog did make it out of that situation alive. I'll talk more about what happened in a second, but first let's just talk about the size of wolves. When you put a wolf next to a dog like they did in that video, wolves are way bigger and it's tough to comprehend sometimes. And then when you see that size difference, you realize it. That's a regular timber wolf, and timber wolves can get as big as 1.7 meters long. That's just over 5.5 feet. Now for what happened. A fishing guide in Canada and his dog named Trigger, which you saw in the video, came across this timber wolf. Now after that video cut off, that timber wolf actually picked up the dog and threw it up in the air before the owner fired a warning shot with his shotgun into the air, scaring off the wolf. Now, the wolf did return later, and they think it is because it was looking for the dog, and it did that 2 more times. The dog did come away with just a few cuts and scratches, but it was okay. Hope that helps.
Timberwolf is just a regional name for the gray wolf.
Just to be clear, I take all the money if I can do between 300 and 400 push-ups.
600 says no way, Gramps.
Ooh, nice. All right?
Let's see it, okay?
One,
2,
3, 4.
Whoa. You're not entertained.
Hey, whoa. You said you were going to do between 300 and 400.
Right, I wouldn't have bet.
You did 4 push-ups, bro.
4 is between 300 and 400, right?
They heard him, but they didn't listen to him. Rookie mistake.
Girlfriend, who's now my wife, and I tell her I want to go upstairs and be left alone. I lock the door and I look at this bundle. I've never seen it before. It was a yellowy substance. So I go and try it, and I'm like, oh, I feel a little dirty. I didn't really like it that much. And a little voice or devil on my shoulder is like, why don't you try a little bit more? You'll probably like it. So then I was like, all right, fine. So I went in, and now I got a bigger key bump, and I'm ready. And all of a sudden, as I'm doing this, the phone rings, and I'm like, it says mom on it. And I picked up the phone. My mom's like, are you okay? Concern in her voice. And then at this particular point, I looked in the ceiling. I'm like, did they install cameras in my house and I didn't know? Because this is too weird that my mom's got concern in her voice. I got heroin in my hands. Like, this is crazy. And I'm like, am I on the Truman Show? Right?
I believe him 100%. My mom would have done the same thing.
Now it's 6:24. People say the rat race isn't real. The rat race is real as fuck. Look at all these people. Almost thousands and thousands of people every single fucking day. Back, forth, back, forth. Right? You want to start your business but you're too tired. You want to start your business but your boss told you have to go to work today. You want to start your business but you're too lazy on the weekends. That they're experiencing right now. These guys driving back and forth. They don't want to do. They don't want to be driving on the 401. They don't want to be driving on the highway on rush hour. If you're a young guy and you have not experienced a 9 to 5, you need to have that urgency, because if you don't actually work on an escape plan before you get into it, once you get into that system, it's really escape. You don't know the gravity of how hard you should be working right now to guarantee the likeliness of you not getting. Because, bro, there are thousands, millions and millions of people that are stuck in an eternal cycle that they.
Someone's got to do it. Everyone cannot be rich. Let them figure it out on their own.
People born between 1983 and 1993 are the most unique generation, and here's why. They are born in between 2 generations, the one before the internet and technology took over, and the generation after. The generation before us was old school and believed in working hard, and the generation after us believes in working smart. We saw it all. Radio, TV, Mario, WAP Trick, Nokia, Nintendo 64, Samsung, iPhone, PS4, tapes, CDs, Mixit, MiG-32, Netflix, Snapchat, emojis, and virtual reality. The generation before us can be scammed by simple emails asking for money and offering love. The generation after us knows it's better to have 4 emails, one for social media, one for financial transactions, one for serious stuff, and one for things you don't trust. We are the generation that knows tradition and questions it, picking from it what makes sense to us. The generation before us knew no questions. The generation after us knows no tradition. We are the gap between the industrial age and the internet age. We understand both sides from experience. We should be running the world. The old guys don't understand what's going on anymore, and the new guys don't understand where what's going on came from. Anyways, please bring back Warped Tour. Merch link in bio. I'll see myself.
I've seen cassette tape, and you know, I miss the late 90s and early 2000s. Best years of my life.
Her own friend outshines her during her own wedding. For those who scrolled back up when you heard the chisme, the gossip, hi, welcome back, nosy. Juju's wedding is going absolutely viral, not only on social media, but on forums like Reddit, which is a first here on the channel. I got explicit permission from Juju to speak about what happened. Her friend stole her thunder. Now, objectively speaking, as a man, Juju's friend is a model. 10 out of 10. I mean, blessed by the gods in every genetic department. Like, just think about the perfect woman. That's Juju's friend, okay? Juju's friend had not gone out in quite a while, so she gets invited to the wedding. She goes, I'm gonna go all out. She got professional makeup done. She got high fashion designer clothing. She showed a lot of skin. When she arrived, immediately she stole the thunder, outshined Juju. How do I know this? Juju had to tell me in tears that when she met with the photographers and videographers for the last time to receive her wedding photos, she had to tell them to delete the excess of photos and videos that they had of Juju's friend. There was more content of her friend than they had of the bride, Juju, her husband, or the entire just wedding events. That's how bad it got. Juju then explains to me that throughout the entire night of her event, everyone wanted a photo with her, wanted to talk to her, asked her out to dance. It felt like just the entire attention that was supposed to be for Juju and her husband went to the girl. All because the girl decided to tone up quite a few things that, objectively speaking, you could have easily toned down out of respect for your friend's wedding. Now, the question that I posed to you, the viewer, would you have done the same thing as the girl, gone all out? You can't help how you look. I'm just going to go and have fun. Or would you have recognized, hey, I should probably tone it down out of respect for my friend? Let me know in the comments. And if you made it this far into the video, comment, I love tacos. That way I know that you made it to the end of the video.
Bro, when I search Juju's friend, all I get is black magic videos.
Stealing has become legalized in San Francisco, or at least that's what people are saying after these signs started to be put up around the city, basically encouraging people to take stuff as long as it's under $950. Because crime has gotten so bad in San Francisco to the point where they really can't control it, considering it's happening at places like Nike, as well as In-N-Out, they want to let all these criminals know that as long as it's under a certain amount, the police are not going to come after you. Needless to say, people in the comments were really concerned about this, saying why would the city put up these signs in the first place, and others are joking that candy bars are going to be $951.
Like how to build a pyramid.
Yes.
That we really just don't understand today.
I don't know what it means to not understand how to build a pyramid today. We have 150-story buildings.
But we're
not thinking about pyramids.
Stuff.
I can tell you this. Do you know what the first thing that was built by humans?
Ever?
No. That's only part of the sentence. Sorry. I love your enthusiasm. My sentence only barely came out of my mouth. The tallest thing humans built after the pyramids.
I think it's a building in Dubai.
No. So in other words, what's the next tallest thing after the pyramids?
Oh, right after.
Yeah. What is the next tallest thing we built? Stable structure after the pyramids.
What?
So
Alexandria Lighthouse was tallest man-made building after the pyramids.
This story is proof that attractive privilege or pretty privilege, whatever you want to call it, is real. So this guy is going viral for telling the entire internet he's homeless and then having thousands of women shoot their shot at him. So basically, he made a Facebook post telling his story of how he was down bad. Apparently, he had just lost his job, and when he made that post, all he was asking for was a place with a decent price to stay at. But once his post went viral, things got a little crazy. Thousands of women were offering him free shelter, and I'm sure along with the free shelter, they were offering more than that. Now, bro went so viral, and it got to the point where his DMs were so flooded, he had to tell the streets, settle down. He said, I appreciate all the compliments for sure, but I'm looking for somebody that is really trying to lock in and build, not somebody to save. That is not why I made the post. Bro is literally homeless and having to reject women. Look, if you were a denier of attractive privilege or pretty privilege before this is proof that you're wrong.
Regardless of pretty privilege, taking in someone you don't know is a red flag.
Christianity is the only religion in the world where a man's God comes and lives inside of him. A Chinese scholar was given a copy of the New Testament. He'd read the Quran, he'd read the Vedas and all the sacred books. The man said to him, "Did you read the New Testament through?" He said, "I did." "What's the most amazing thing?" He thought the man would say, "The most amazing thing I read was that Jesus Christ was born of a virgin, that he died and physically rose again from the dead." Instead of that, he said the most awesome thing is in Ephesians chapter 2. It is? Yes. It says, "In time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air." And then at the end of that same chapter it says, "You are the habitation of God." He said, "Sir, does your God live inside of you? If so, that's the most awesome thing I've read. And I've read the Quran, I've read the Vedas, I've read all those other sacred books. But I never read where a man's God comes and makes the man the habitation of God."
Christianity is not a religion. It's a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. Don't go anywhere because we still have fire clips after fire clips back to
That mysterious monolith that appeared in Australia a couple days ago, well, someone's finally decoded it. A lot of people have suggested that it was related to an anime called One Piece, or a reference to the villain from this short story. But the real answer is even weirder. A cryptography student decided to draw all of these symbols out. At first, it kind of just looks like gibberish, but if you line up all of these bars, you start to see some symbols repeat themselves, and that's a good indication that these symbols are code for something in English. The student then assigned all the symbols a letter and put it into a cryptogram solver, went through all 47 combinations for this group of letters, and immediately you start seeing that these symbols most likely represent numbers. And sure enough, if you try to match each group of letters to a certain number, you end up with this. What it leads to or who put it there is still a mystery.
Aren't those chords that could lead to another monolith?
Thank you to Satan for giving me inspiration.
America doesn't want to hear your thoughts on Jesus. Awesome that you love Jesus. Love Jesus all you want. Just don't have to do it publicly.
Oh
Have you
man.
got anything you can tell us about I have. I've got lots to tell you. Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved.
I want to thank God for my family, my friends, my teammates.
You know what's coming. I gotta give thanks to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Is that your reaction to what people who want you off the spotty shortlist? Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and you'll be saved. And I tell you what, for all you prayer warriors out there, I felt you so strongly all week.
Thank you to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for allowing me to be here on this journey.
And what about you being stripped of your belt? What's your reaction to that? Jesus loves me, and he loves you too, and he loves you too. He loves these people in here, and he loves everybody in the world.
You know, a Christian is not someone that does everything right. Christians are ultimately sinners who recognize that they're sinners, and they try to do things a little bit better.
John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. Whoever believes in him shall have eternal life and shall not perish. All you've got to do is repent of your sins, and you will be forgiven.
Dana White saying that is crazy, since a lot of UFC fighters talk about Jesus. And I'm proud to see these brothers proclaiming the love of mercy of Christ Jesus.
Terrence is bringing cool stuff from the world of geometry. It's a proof, effectively, that people don't know where it's coming from. A lot of this is real as geometry. If you look at the thing that he calls the Terranton, right?
The tetrian. The tetrian is the
tetrian.
The tetrian is just
so the tetrian that is the thing that is closest to us, the black thing that is closest to us.
That
one. So he then starts to make noises about it, and he says things that I don't love, which are that those faces he associates with the electric field, and the vertices, which sometimes he calls vortices, and sometimes I'm not quite sure, he associates with the magnetic field. Now, I don't have a clue why he says the next thing, which is, and because the number of magnetic and the number of electric things are balanced, they cancel out, and therefore it's the weak force. And to me, it's just like super cool stuff, and then suddenly turns into horseshit.
But listen why. Here we have those two tetrians on the end. They both have equal poles, 4 electric poles and 4 magnetic poles, according to how I see it. Where magnetism is spinning off of the tips, the vortices, because it's no longer able to maintain that center space of spinning centrifugal.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
What brought you to that conclusion?
with what
The way you're describing the energy involved in this.
Well, anytime you look at electricity, that was one of the things that Victor Schauberger was talking about. Electricity it's when water starts to spin to the right, it cools down. That's the natural nature of electricity. Electricity is colder. It flows better in the coldest environment. So as it's cooling down, as it's spinning down to a higher point, trying to get to that higher point, that's the highest point there. It's looking for the highest density. That's the north. North is always the highest density. South, no matter where you are, south is always away from the higher point when you're talking about universally, not talking about geographically on the earth. North is always seeking a higher position. South is always seeking a lower position. That's based upon stuff that Walter Russell talked about, based upon the stuff that Victor Schauberger talked about. But it's a problem with the definition of the words, the terms.
Right, but your description of electromagnetic force and magnetism, like what is happening that it's bringing you to this conclusion that you're so specifically saying that something that you literally can't even see with the human eye is happening very clearly?
I'm saying 4 magnetic fields are pushing in on that area.
I don't see magnetic fields. I see those spheres.
Would be magnetism. What does magnetism do? It expands out.
What brings you to the conclusion
radiation.
that electric...
Well, let's say radiated field. Let me use the term
Do you know
radiated
what we think electricity and magnetism are?
Terrence is in no man's land in intelligence. He knows just enough to walk into it, but not enough to go beyond it.
The world's biggest record labels are suing the AI company behind BBL Drizzy. Yesterday, Universal Music Group, Warner, and Sony dropped a mega lawsuit against the 2 most prominent AI music startups, Udio and Suno. The labels allege that these 2 companies are illegally training their AI models on massive amounts of copyrighted song recordings and are seeking damages of up to $150,000 per work infringed, which could amount to billions.
Isn't BBL Drizzy just a sped up version of a song from the 70s?
We stumbled upon an unexpected underground entrance. We couldn't resist the urge to explore further. The staircase led us on a descent into the depths, eventually revealing a hidden bunker that seemed to have been abandoned for decades. Our journey took us through the winding tunnels, which eventually opened up to multiple vast rooms. It was as if we had uncovered a piece of history, a World War II era bunker that had been sealed off and left to the whispers of the past.
She's taking a dangerous chance breathing in all that mall above her.
Pictures supposedly taken by a man who says he was driving along State Highway 2 in Point Pleasant, saw something jump from tree to tree. So he pulled off the road to take these pictures. The man declined an on-camera interview, but is adamant the pictures are real.
Okay, how did she get such a clear pictures?
Fox.
What about Jamie?
You've been in rooms.
I know Jamie.
What's your?
Me and Jamie shared a manager, Breon. He went after my Gigi. Want to know when we met? All up together when they met my Gigi.
Go ahead.
It was the second inauguration for the Obamas, and I was there as a guest at the party, like I was at the first inauguration. And I brought Gigi with me. And Jamie had his eye on her. And Breon asked me if it was cool. And I said, everybody here is grown. So yeah, Jamie done a lot. The naked basketball games that he hosted. I mean, everybody knew. Everybody knew if you went to a party at Jamie's house that at midnight, the witching hour began. And basically he would have a party and everybody would be in there. But at 12 o'clock, the women would start to take off their clothes and you would have to guess. So some of these dudes, they already been making out with these chicks. They already been doing all kinds of stuff. And then the clothes come off and you figure out whether or not you got a chick or...
Oh, how does she know everything about everybody? We need to get Jaguar and Orlando Brown in the same room together. They're always talking, but always talking in code.
This is the center of the world. The owner Jacques-André Istel, who is a member of the Rothschild family, and his wife Felicia Lee moved to the California desert 30 years ago to create a unique legacy. Istel convinced the Imperial County Board of Supervisors to designate a spot on his 2,600-acre property as the official center of the world. He established the town of Felicity and became its mayor for life. Istel built the Museum of History in granite, a collection of 20 granite monuments inscribed with summaries of historical events and figures. This open-air museum includes topics ranging from the Big Bang to Barack Obama, and quirky facts like the proposed cabinet post of Secretary of Beer. The site features a chapel, a piece of the Eiffel Tower's spiral staircase, and a sundial. Istel aims for the museum to last until the year 6000, ensuring a legacy that might one day educate distant descendants, perhaps far from Earth. Despite controversies, it attracts thousands of visitors annually.
Okay, this is not the type of white that I want to be. I know usually I want to be a lot of different whites. Oh, great.
You gotta draw the line somewhere.
Starting the day with a multivitamin is part of your routine. You're not alone. Millions do so to improve health and keep illnesses at bay. But new research out of the U.S. suggests that might not be the case. And in some instances, these vitamins could have the opposite effect.
Getting your vitamins from pills is not going to make you live longer. That doesn't mean there aren't ways to live longer, but they relate more to food, not pills.
The study looked at hundreds of thousands of generally healthy adults over a 20-year period, finding no evidence that multivitamins reduced their risk of death, and instead reported a 4% higher mortality risk in users compared to those who don't take a daily multivitamin.
Because multiple vitamins just throw a whole bunch of vitamins together, there can be some that they can actually be harmful to you if you're taking them in excess.
1 in 3 American adults take multivitamins to prevent disease, but Dr. Barnard, author of the study's commentary, says in many cases they aren't necessary and can overload a person's body with vitamins they don't need. And if you are going to take vitamins, it's better to take supplement ones you actually need, like B12 or vitamin D.
Longevity is not the goal. Quality of life is.
Going to want to hear this. Don't you think it's odd that Alaska is part of the United States of America? The real reason is far darker and more complex than you have been led to believe. Deep within Alaska, there is a black pyramid, an ancient structure that is buried beneath the ground, emitting powerful energy. In 1992, an earthquake in China revealed this pyramid near Mount McKinley. This discovery was picked up by spy satellites, revealing its location to external nations. Indigenous Alaskan tribes also speak of a powerful sacred structure which fits the exact same description as the structure captured on the satellite. But it gets even crazier. According to ancient scripts, the Black Pyramid is part of a global network of ancient energy generators. These pyramids were scattered around the world by a civilization that used to walk with the gods. The purpose was to harness and distribute energy across the world. The same network includes the Great Pyramid of Giza. Since the founding of the United States, extra effort was placed into colonizing Alaska with the aim to reverse engineer the pyramid's technology for modern use.
How many? Interesting for sure.
How many countries are you banned from visiting?
European Union, UK, Canada, United States, New Zealand, Australia, Japan.
Japan?
To be honest, I'm not sure about Japan. I need to check.
So since you live outside what we think of as the West, and Japan kind of is part of the West in a way, how do you see the world changing now that you've been forced outside the old world into the emerging world? Where are the freest places in the world? Where's the power coalescing?
It's unclear where and what will happen where. Definitely China is growing with incredible speed. I spent quite a lot of time on China lately, and it's amazing.
He's a Russian billionaire, and most of the rich in Russia have ties to Putin, so the West bans him for that. Of course, USA says he did things, but there's no proof.
Here's how this company gaslit the entire world with fake packaging, but it made them rich. So this was done by a company called Van Moof, which sells electric bikes. But they had a big problem with shipping because 1 out of every 4 bikes that they shipped got damaged. They tried everything you could think of to fix this, like working with different shipping companies or packaging it in better material, but none of it worked. But that's when they realized they weren't dealing with a logical problem, they were dealing with a psychological problem. And so instead of trying to change the shipping box, the material, or anything like that, they just changed what the box looked like. And so all they did was they changed their box to make it look like it has a TV on it. This caused everyone that handled the package to be way more careful with it just subconsciously because they saw the TV, and overnight it led to an 80% reduction in shipping damages. Now ultimately this company did end up going bankrupt, but that doesn't take away from the point that by using simple psychology we can hack people's brains and make them do the things we want them to do without them even realizing it. And for beautiful case studies like this, there's a reason 2.5k people join my free newsletter in bio.
Wow.
The leech. An envious person who is a leech will obsess over what you have to the point they aim to possess it as well. This is much more severe than simply being inspired by someone or aspiration. The leech aims to ride off of your coattails because they secretly despise that it's you and not them. Their desire is more so covetous and is rooted in jealousy and envy. A leech does not simply want something similar. They want exactly what you have in the same manner you received it and around the same time. This is the person who will help you decorate your home just to decorate their home the same exact way afterwards. This is the person who will start to wear their hair similar to yours, dress like you, talk like you, and imitate your behavior. Do not be fooled. When a leech starts to imitate you, it's not flattery. When someone is imitating you out of envy, a lack of caution will give room for the leech to turn the imitation into a metaphorical assassination. When a person is envious of you and acquires the disposition of a leech, they are taking advantage of the exclusive access they have to gain as much information regarding the target's essence, tips, strengths, and accomplishments in order to replicate it. However, it doesn't stop with mere replication. The goal is to replicate and replace. This person will aim to become their target of envy to eventually cancel them out and take their place. This predator leeches off their prey's success and assets to build themselves up and deliberately take their target's place. This envious personality type is basically a copycat, but it's deeper than that because they don't just want to copy you. They want to be you. They want to take your place. For attractive individuals, they've met at least one person like this in their life. With this envious personality type, it can be really cute at first because it's going to be fun having your twin, but if you're not careful with this person, things can get out of hand. This type of person will want to get very close to you. And when you're clueless, you're going to let them because you're like, oh my God, this person is so down for me. We do everything together. She likes everything that I like, da 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 da. And when you're an attractive person, you have social currency. And a person with this envious personality type is going to ride the fuck out of your social currency because being connected to you gives them currency. You'll also notice that whenever you're around this person, they'll always want to take pictures with you or take pictures of you and post it. If you're in a friend group, they're going to want to take your place in that friend group. And this type of person will also date your exes. And if you ever tell them that you're interested in anybody romantically, before you know it, they're also interested in that person and end up talking to them too. With this type, if you catch on but they're already really close to you, slowly start limiting their access to you. If you just cut them off cold turkey, they'll go crazy. These type of people have like stalker vibes. You'll have to like slow ghost them. Let me know in the comments how you've dealt with this envious personality type. The next envious personality type we're going to go over is the crippler.
Those people are usually the insecure ones. Your confidence will rub off on them and then they think they're matched to take you down.
Man identified as a female at a powerlifting competition, and what happened next was just insane. Avi Silverberg, the head coach for Canada's women's powerlifting team, had been coaching for a decade and was frustrated. He watched as his students kept losing to a trans woman named Anne Andres. Anne had set a bench press record of 275 pounds and was mocking Avi's students for having a weak bench press. Avi was enraged and wanted to defend his students, so he decided to compete as a female. He set his pronouns to whatever lets me win and checked off the female category. With Anne watching closely, Avi started by benching 320 pounds with ease. Avi was feeling strong and loaded up for a final attempt of 369 pounds. The weight still quickly exploded off his chest. Anne was furious and called Avi a coward with malicious intent. Whatever let me win's record is still in the books today. Who do you think is in the right?
And Andres got the taste of his own medicine. And now he's crying it's not fair.
I cannot believe this, but right behind me is an entire city that completely went abandoned on April 9th, 2009. It's this angle of the village you can see that something bad has really happened here.
Yeah. The whole city?
Look at these streets, super overgrown. And that's the crane to try to fix these buildings. They're constantly working on this place to fix it every day. I don't know what that says, but I thought that was really cool. Every door to anyone's house is wide open. You can explore this whole place. You can find their belongings, their beds. Everything is still left inside. Even their whiskey and liquor.
Ooh, still there.
What's scary is it looks like they took all their belongings as much as they can and ran off when the earthquake was happening. Now that is pretty creepy. So you look right out here.
Wow.
You see how old and destroyed everything is. And you come right in here and see an old Mercedes-Benz. Frozen. You can either go up there, see the people's houses, or you can walk right here and go inside the pharmacy to get medicine. Now that is really spooky. Now this, guys, is the coolest yet saddest thing. This is their church. They're trying everything they can to preserve it. The chandelier fell on both ends. That's the confessions. It is very eerie in here. But look how amazing this looks. The paint is hand painted on the walls. What's even more sad is someone is actually buried in this little tomb case inside the church, forgotten about. It's weird to even see the town map completely empty with nothing on it. No events, no nothing. Something right out of Resident Evil. The street signs pointing on where to go, but everything's gone. Dead. Look at this staircase. People used to walk through here tons and tons of times, surrounded by the village and the houses. All gone. Obviously, as you can see, the town overlooked everything.
Dinosaurs did not go extinct 65 million years ago due to a massive asteroid impact. The real story is far more complex and sinister. There is growing evidence that suggests the extinction of the dinosaurs is linked to an ancient extraterrestrial war that took place on Earth. 3 texts, the Mahabharata, the Bible, and the Sumerian tablets, all speak of celestial battles between gods and otherworldly beings. These stories describe powerful weapons that caused massive destruction and are eerily similar to modern-day nuclear bombs. But here is where it gets even crazier. Recent evidence was discovered which shows high levels of iridium and plutonium in dinosaur fossils, which suggests these ancient creatures were exposed to intense radiation. The elements are also rare on Earth, but are extremely common in asteroids and advanced technologies. This indicates that the asteroid might only be part of the story. In addition to the unusual levels of radiation, some researchers have found ancient impact craters and geological formations that suggest multiple high-energy events occurred at the time of the dinosaurs' extinction. This further supports the theory of an ancient war rather than a single asteroid impact. What do you think? Was it an ancient alien war or an asteroid impact?
It was a massive flood.
Okay. I've been here for like 6 hours, and this is now the second time I've had this guy here. Hey, goat. Hey, goat. How you doing, bud? What you doing here, man? What's going on? Why do you keep coming back? Bro, I'm trying to scare you out of here. I have a fire and everything. I'm sorry, man.
I was wondering where you were. Then the Canadian accent came out.
You're going to see famines. I don't think there's any doubt about that soon. And when that happens, will people blame each other as they've been instructed to do, or will they finally figure out that this is all manufactured?
Well, they're building a bridge in the Darien Gap to make it easier for the NGOs and the WHO and the UN and the rest of them to drive people into the United States from the south. Galactic scale attempt to pull the wool over our eyes is going on, and more people are seeing it. And they're seeing that people are being uprooted from their homelands and have been for generations. All it really takes is for people to realise that the trouble is not beside you, it's above you. It's not a big group. And actually their techniques are old, worn out and transparent. There's nothing to fear but the fear they sow. It's nothing less than your obligation to force yourself to be optimistic. You can't go to the dark side. Neil Oliver, thank you on that. I love that.
A lot of us have started growing our own food.
Jewish people, everybody agreed he died. That's 100%. That's why when they stab him and you say water came out, it wasn't water, it was fluid from his lungs because he was dead. And that's what would happen to you or I when we die, is we have this lung fluid that comes out. So that's what they said, oh, that's water. And that's what they made him divinity. But it was like a natural thing. He's dead. Everyone agrees. And you say, well, they buried him in a tomb. And then the next day, or 3 days later, the tomb's empty. And people like, so, that made up. And they say 500 people saw him in the town. Romans and Hebrew, they saw him over the next couple of weeks. 500 independently sourced people, real, like corroborated, 500 people saw him. Mm-hmm. So you say, okay, so there's that. And then the other conspiracy theory is like, well, the disciples robbed his body. The disciples just robbed his body because they didn't want him. They would hand over crucifixion victims to like the wild dogs. That used to be the way it was. If you got crucified, throw you in a pit, wild dogs eat you, or leave you on the cross, birds will eat you. That's how we deal with you. So they're like, that's why they were taking his body. And then you see that, well, that's probably not what happened. And the Romans themselves acknowledge there's no body in that tomb that we put in there 3 days ago.
No human being is willing to suffer and die for something he knows is a lie. But Jesus' disciples were willing to suffer persecution and die for something they knew as the truth, because they were witness.
Does the firmament touch the earth?
From Wikipedia.org. The firmament is said to be made of solid ice occupying the space between the earth and the first heaven.
Alexa, can anyone get through the firmament?
From Substack.com. NASA used high-altitude explosives to try and penetrate the firmament, and what they filmed of the operation was the result of their explosives creating massive watery wave propagation above them as they hit the quasi-vitreous dome above the Earth known as the firmament.
Alexa, is anyone able to get to space from going through the firmament?
No one is able to reach space by going through the firmament. The firmament is considered to be a barrier that has never been penetrated by humans, not even in science fiction or NASA's outer space movies.
Thank you.
Alright folks, I'm going to end our video with this coming clip. Be kind to each other. If you haven't subscribed, please do. There's a free gift below. And if you want to buy me coffee or support me through Patreon, the links are also in the description below. Thank you for watching. Have a prosperous day. And God bless.
Says it's too hot to go to the sun, then why don't we go at night when the sun turns off?